Today we're going to start a new style of lesson and this is what we've been practicing in school as well. So when the children come back to school, which will hopefully be very soon, we're also going to be practicing our lessons in this style. We're going to be practicing something called sentence stacking. This means we're going to take different parts of the lesson where we're going to be thinking about lots of ideas and making a quick list of ideas and then using them to apply them into one really strong sentence. So there are going to be 3 different parts to our lesson today, but don't spend longer than 20 minutes on each part. When you have thought of your ideas, you can then use them to make a really super sentence that is just one sentence that is amazing. You don't need to spend lots of time writing loads and loads of sentences today. We're going to be thinking about the really good ideas and practicing applying them to a sentence. Good morning everybody and welcome to lesson 2 of our writing this week. So I'm going to introduce you to the new story that we're going to be focusing on that is called The Crow's Tale by Naomi Howarth. And before I show you any pictures or send you off to watch any YouTube videos, I'm going to read to you the writing that is on the first page without me sharing any photos with you, okay? And it says, "In the dark depths of winter, far, far away, snow started falling at the cold break of day." What I want you to do first of all is, can you find any patterns within my first sentence on my opening page? Are there any words that repeat? Are there any other patterns that you can hear or spot? So having a think back to what we learned about yesterday and imagining what it would be like to be in a winter forest or a woodland, I want you to make a list of ideas of adjectives that you could use to describe what he would see and what he would fly over. So if you're thinking about the trees, they might be frosty, they might be frozen, they're green, they're huge. You're thinking about what they look like, it might be spiky, it might be cold, think about what they feel like. Use all of those fantastics that you thought about. So think about your senses, what you can see, feel, hear, what you can touch. So using my adjectives now, I'm going to show you how to form a repetitive sentence like the one that would be in the beginning of my book. So I have got the first sentence. He flew over the frozen trees. Can you see how I have repeated my adjective in my sentence there? I have repeated the word frozen and I'm describing the trees. So have a look at my next one. He flew over the frosty ground. Now it's your turn. What I would like you to do is I'd like you to write me 3 sentences using exactly the same structure as mine. I want you to start it off by writing he flew over, and I would like you to repeat your adjective twice to describe what it is that you're describing, just like I did. So he flew over the frosty ground. Look at your adjectives and think about the things that the crow would see in the forest, to write 3 sentences using the same structure. Here is the next page of the book. So you can see here from the picture that we've got all of the different animals. They're gathered together, they're huddled up together, they look like they're hugging. In a freezing thick blanket it covered the land. The animals knew they needed a plan. They were tired and famished and frozen from cold, until Wise Owl came up with a plan, brave and bold. There are a few words on this page that I wonder if you've heard of before. We've got the word famished. They were tired and famished and frozen from cold. The word famished means that they were starving, that they were hungry. Then we've got the description of the thick blanket. Now we know what a thick blanket is, but instead of a fluffy blanket like you might have at home on your bed or on your sofa, the thick blanket is describing how the snow has covered the land. Brave and bold. We've got this description here to describe that the owl has a courageous plan. This means it's going to take a lot of courage to do, and that he's going to need to be brave, and that he's going to make a really important plan. Using our ideas from yesterday, we're going to be thinking about where the animals would be now. So you can see on this photo that they're all together here on this page. First of all, we're going to think about some adverbials. Adverbials give us more information about a verb, and that they can also be used to describe the place and the position of something. For example, I could use the adverbials down by, next to, underneath, below the. I could use these to describe where the animals are and maybe what they're doing in the picture. Can you make a list of some other adverbials that we could use to describe where the animals would be in the forest? This time, I'd like you to now make a short list of verbs to tell me how the animals are sat together. So I've thought of a couple here. I've got gathered, because they're all gathered into one group together. They're all sat next to each other by gathering up. They're crouched. If you're crouching down, you're making yourself as small as you can. This is a really useful technique that animals do to keep themselves warm. Grouped. They're grouped together because they're all squished up next to each other. Can you think of any more verbs to describe how they're sat together? Just make a short list. You don't have to have that many. Using your two lists that you've just thought of and your ideas from before, now you're going to look at my adverbial phrase here. So I've colour coded it to show you the different features. So I've written, next to the tree, the animals were cuddled together because a bitter wind was blowing. This is a really good example of a fantastic sentence because I have included my where adverbial, like you thought of, to show where my animals are, and I've put that as next to the tree. That's my preposition there, where the animals are. I've described the action that they're doing by using the animals were cuddled together because they're all snuggled up, aren't they? They're cuddled together because it's cold. And then I've explained why they're cuddled together. Next to the tree, the animals were cuddled together because a bitter wind was blowing. So now it's your turn to write your sentence. I want you to write me one sentence using the structure that I have just used on the page before. You must have a where adverbial. You need to then tell me how the animals are sat together, and you need to tell me why and by describing the weather. We have had a very important visit from the owl from the story here. Here's a picture of him. He looks very smart and he looks very brave. And he says, I have flown over the winter forest to get here. It was a very perilous journey. Can you say that with the owl? It was a very perilous journey. Perilous means terrifying, scary, risky and dangerous. Can you make a list of words to use instead of the word perilous?